Hello and welcome to week 5 of our prenatal yoga following loss. Just a very quick reminder that whilst yoga is generally safe for those in all trimesters of their pregnancy, we are recommending that this class is suitable for those 14 weeks and above. And of course, I can't see you, I'm not practicing with you, so please just listen to your body, listen to your baby, and move in a way that feels right. Any pain or discomfort, then please stop. So today's class is all about surrender. So when we're pregnant, there are lots of changes that go on. We have the physical changes in our body, we have the emotional changes, and we potentially have the way in which we interact with the world change. We suddenly become a lot more aware of risk, and the way that we maybe socialize can be very different. And accepting these changes can be difficult at times, especially if we are in a place where we're kind of trying to safeguard our own emotions at times. But if we are able to find just kind of tiny pockets or moments where we accept those changes, we invite them in, and we really truly surrender to them. Yeah, even the not so great ones, like having a super weak bladder, kind of accept them, surrender to them, just let them be. It can be really transformational in how we perceive and experience this journey of pregnancy, all the way through labour and into motherhood. Because, of course, motherhood, as much as we might say to ourselves, oh, my life's not going to change, the baby will fit in with me. Actually, motherhood is a whole practice, an ongoing practice of surrender, surrendering to becoming a new you, a new norm, and surrendering to this little being that we're growing in our tummies. So I would recommend that for this class you have a yoga ball, if possible. If not, then you can do everything seated on the floor. I will say my yoga ball isn't, it's not pumped up enough. If I turn to the side, you can see that my hips are lower or in line with my knees. I couldn't find the pump in time for our class. But ideally, you want to be on a yoga ball where you're sat a bit more like this, just to give yourself space and to make sure that you're really bringing baby into a nice position, hips always higher than your knees where possible. But for now, for half an hour session, I think I'll be fine. But for you guys, definitely making sure your balls are nice and pumped up. Okay, so let's begin. We're going to begin seated on the ball. So find yourself nice and comfortable. Find kind of a nice stable ground with your feet. If you feel at all wobbly, then definitely don't close down the eyes. Make sure there's a wall nearby. And let's bring our hands to baby. And if comfortable, let's maybe close down the eyes or bring the gaze to a point on the floor in front of you. And we're just going to take a 3-minute breath work here. So perhaps you come straight into that extended exhale. So breathing in through the nose for a count of 3 or 4. And then gently through a really relaxed mouth, exhaling for a count of 6 or 8. And at first, the breath might feel a bit sticky. It might get caught in areas of the body, or perhaps you feel like, gosh, I don't have an exhale of 6 or 8. So just allow the body to warm up with the breath, breathing in a way that feels good in your body, keeping the shoulders melted away from the ears, the tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Allowing this breath to bring a sense of surrender or calm. And perhaps if you've been practicing this breath for a few more weeks, you can use it to connect with your baby. Maybe the counting becomes subconscious, and instead you begin to envisage as you inhale, bringing fresh oxygen, space down towards baby. And as you exhale, this sense of security, this gentle hug to baby. And as we sit here with our final few breaths, just noticing whether or not the mind is trying to wander. Often when we sit in silence with our breath, things try to pop in, they try to kind of take our concentration, just allow them to come into the mind and then leave the mind, and then just come back to that breath, this anchor point. Breathing down towards baby. Okay. Once you finish your final breath there, we gently blink the eyes open or lift the gaze. Let's release the hands. We're going to come into a really, really nice hip opener. So if you're on the floor here, then your legs would be nice and wide out in front of you. And then you're taking the same movement that we're doing. So hands on the hips, maybe hands on the knees. You're starting off with a nice small circle. And then perhaps starting to build into a slightly bigger circle, getting the whole body involved. And we're all creating some sound effects for us today. Okay, if you're going in one direction, then go in the other. So again, remembering we start off nice and small, just kind of warming up through the hips. And then maybe building into those bigger circles. This can be really nice to release into the back as well if you kind of been sat in one position, kind of getting the shoulders and everything involved. And then let's go and find stillness. We're going to come into some lateral stretches. So bring that right forearm onto right thigh, making sure that that right leg is kind of relatively wide. And then as we inhale, we scoop that left arm up and over. Come into a lateral side stretch. So pressing that right forearm into right thigh. Keep right ear away from right shoulder so you're not kind of collapsing. Try and find space in the body. And then gaze underneath that left armpit. Of course, your hips are going to be higher than mine. I'm on a very squishy ball here, so that it doesn't feel as comfortable as it could do. I haven't got the space in my pelvis that I would if my ball was slightly more pumped up. Final breath here. And then let's release and come on to the other side. So left forearm onto left thigh. Crescent that right arm up and over. Twisting to look underneath that right armpit. And with every breath, really focusing on drawing the shoulders away from the ears, creating space in the side body. Okay, and then let's release. We're going to come through kind of a little, almost like cat and cow style movement. So I'll move to the side. So place your hands on your knees. Again, you can do this if you're sitting on the floor. As we inhale, we squeeze the shoulders down the back, send the upper chest as if you're looking forward. So we're not kind of arching into our back. It's a really nice and controlled. Just through the upper back, we find space. Then as we exhale, we round, chin comes to chest, gaze that baby, pulling on your knees to create a bit of friction. So inhale, squeeze the shoulders together down the back. It's the upper back that's stretching here, not the lower back curving. And then exhale, we round. Inhale, we squeeze. And exhale, we round. Let's take one more. And you come back through center. Okay, we're going to safely get off our ball. So for some, that might be holding on to the wall. Others, you might be able to kind of stand straight up. We're going to come straight back down onto the floor. So come and kneel. Now, if you don't have a ball, then you might want to have some yoga blocks, and you're going to do all of your work on your hands. So you'll be working in this position. If you do have your ball, we're going to come and find ourselves nice and comfortable. So bring the chest onto the ball. Bring that left hand down to the earth to stabilize you. And then we all step that right foot to the outside edge of the mat. And again, if you have the ball, then you're just going to take some really gentle rocks backwards and forwards, allowing the body to surrender its weight onto the ball. Feeling that physical sense of surrender. If you don't have your ball, then your movement is looking more like this. So less ability to surrender, I guess, here, because you're still having to hold your own weight. But you can still find a sense of relaxation as you move into the hip. So just rocking backwards and forwards. Right foot is in front. And if this starts to feel quite nice, and you've got a bit of space in that hip, perhaps you start to take some circles. So you're kind of stirring around. Again, being really, really careful of balance when you're on the ball. We're going in one direction, making sure to remember to then go in the opposite direction. Feeling that openness in the right hip. You can always have the toes tucked at the back to give a bit more stability. Okay. Place the hands on the ball. Draw baby in and up and slide right knee back to meet left. Bring the knees really nice and wide, and then we're going to sit back into a child's pose. So again, if you don't have the ball, then just coming back into a normal child's pose, perhaps using a block beneath your forehead to create space. But if we do have the ball, we allow the forearms to rest on the ball, bring the bum back towards the heels, forehead to ball. We just allow ourselves to sink into this moment here. Perhaps if being completely still doesn't feel comfortable in your body, you gently rock from side to side. Coming back to that extended exhale. Breathing all the way in and down towards baby, down into your hips. Creating openness and space. And really surrendering to this feeling of openness. Okay, we're going to come all the way back up. So if you can, draw baby in and up and then begin to walk the ball towards you. We come up to sit. Okay, we're going to take the opposite side. So if you're on the ball, we're bringing the chest onto the ball, back into all fours if you are not on the ball. Bring those knees back in line underneath your hips. Right hand comes to the earth, and then this time it's that left foot that you're stepping to the outside edge of the mat. And then again, finding yourself nice and comfortable. We begin that surrender, allowing the whole weight of the body to be held by the ball as you rock backwards and forwards. And again, your ball will be ever so slightly higher. My back isn't particularly straight, it's a slight angle here, but and these are really, really nice exercises. If you are like me and your ball feels too low, you can always kind of bring your forearms onto the ball, but this kind of involves a little bit more core work because obviously there's a bit more kind of wobble in that ball. So if you're doing that, then please be really nice and careful. But these are really nice stretches to do when you're watching TV, especially if you're in your third trimester. Just incorporating them into every day, preparing the body to open, building strength, lengthening, stamina. Okay, and then we bring those circles back into the hip. Going in one direction and then coming into the other. Really surrendering into whatever emotions are coming up, opening into our hips, really releases some big energy, some big emotions. So just kind of noticing what they are, just allowing them to be. Okay, we are going to come back into our child's pose again. So hands onto the ball, draw baby in and up. We step that left knee back to meet right. And then open the knees, draw the seat back towards the heels, back into our child's pose. Maybe allowing that forehead to rest on the ball. Now you can stay here if this feels where you need to be today, or perhaps you gently begin to roll the ball over to the left. So bringing a bit of space into that right side body. Stretching that right side body all the way open. Breathing space into the ribs. And then maybe rolling that ball all the way over to the left, and again, breathing space into that left side body. If you're feeling any pain or discomfort in your lower back, then of course stop, or you can bring the chest onto the ball and kind of move that way. I like to have a little bit of space brought into my back, which is why I choose to put my forehead on, but you can definitely use the ball to kind of hug it in the child's pose. Okay, let's come all the way back through center. Let's press the hands into the ball, walk the ball back so that we're sitting on our heels, and we're going to come onto our bum. So let's bring the legs nice and wide in front of us. And again, we're going to come into a gentle forward fold. So for some of us, in fact, probably for most of us, we're going to hug the ball and then just allow it to rock from side to side, feeling that openness into the hips. Of course, if you don't have the ball, then you can sit nice and tall. And rather than doing like a chest to floor, maybe you bring the fingertips to the earth, send the chest nice and proud, and just breathe here. For some of us, it might even be that we need to bring our fingertips behind our back so that we can get a nice straight back to feel the stretch without any tension in our body. If you have that ball, just allowing yourself to really, truly surrender into this forward fold, maybe drawing the toes back and up towards the face to intensify the stretch into the hamstrings. And again, as we're sitting in these moments of stillness, just noticing if anything is cropping up. Allowing any thoughts and emotions just to pass through the mind. Fully surrendering into this moment. Okay, let's come all the way back up to sit. So again, whenever we're moving off the ball, just draw baby in and up, protect the lower back, press through the legs, walk the hands up, and we are seated. You can pop the ball to one side. And then let's come and take our hip dips as always. So bringing the soles of the feet to the earth, fingertips behind the bum. And then just allowing the hips to rock from side to side, working on that rotation that can be so helpful in labour. Okay, let's send the feet out in front of us, give them a little shape. And then we have one final little move on either side. We're going to bring left ankle over or just above right knee, but not on top of knee. Have the sensation of left knee pressing down towards the earth. Your left foot is flexed, so the toes are pulling up. And you can either stay here, just focusing on drawing that left knee down to the earth. Should be feeling your stretch in your outer left hip. Or if you need a bit more intensity, perhaps you bring the fingertips ever so slightly further behind you and bring that right sole of the foot to the earth. The closer that right heel is to your bum, the more intense this will feel. Using that extended exhale, that exhale out the mouth to really allow yourself to anchor into this moment. To focus on the breath rather than perhaps the sensation that's building through that left hip. Final moment here. And if that right knee is bent, then slide the knee straight and take left foot, sorry, off right leg. And then we're going to switch sides. So it is the right ankle that is coming just above, but not on top of left knee. The sensation of that right knee pressing down towards the earth. And then maybe you're just sitting here. Maybe this is strong enough, hands to the earth for support. Or perhaps you bring the fingertips behind you and bring left sole of the foot to the earth. Again, the more intense you want the stretch, the closer that heel comes to the bum. But obviously, our bumps will also dictate how close we can get. With every breath, try and find a moment of softness, of surrender, even as perhaps the sensations in that right hip are gently building. Okay, then if that left knee's bent, let's straighten, release, right leg, give everything a little shake, a little rotate. And then I think let's come into our final true surrender pose. Let's come and find Shavasana. So our rest pose. So maybe that's lying down with a block or cushion underneath your head, possibly on your left side if you are in the later stages of pregnancy. Perhaps it's having a cushion between the knees, just whatever makes your body feel like it can let go. Perhaps for some of us, that's going to be sitting with our back against a wall. Just going wherever feels good for you today in your body. Okay, so once you've arrived in your final resting pose, just sigh. Let it all go. Let the breath go. Let the body truly soften and be held in by the earth. This final act of physical surrender. And so, like we said, surrendering into and accepting the changes that come with pregnancy can be incredibly challenging, incredibly confronting. But if you can find moments where you really can just let go, be present, truly surrender, it can change your perception, your experience of the journey in such positive ways. So for now, in this state of true surrender, we take a moment of deep rest. So let's gently begin to bring our attention back to the breath. Perhaps we begin to breathe a little deeper down towards baby. Perhaps we begin to breathe some movement into the fingers and the toes. Maybe stretching out through the arms and the legs. And then slowly making our way into a comfortable seated pose. Okay. We're going to end our class by taking a surrendered breath together. So let's inhale through the nose, open the mouth, really surrender the breath. Let's bring our hands to prayer heart center. Bow your head to your hands. Maybe make a promise to yourself today to surrender into a tiny moment of change, no matter what that change may be. And then when you're ready, let's release the hands and blink the eyes open. Namaste. Thank you ever so much for joining me. And of course, we are a charity, so any donations are greatly appreciated. And I will hopefully see you next week.